Welcome to the Living to Thrive with Cancer podcast. I'm Katherine White, holistic cancer coach and author. This is the place where we trade fear for hope, confusion for clarity, and overwhelm for empowered action. Whether you're newly diagnosed, living with cancer, or navigating life beyond it, each episode I'll share tools, insights, and real-life inspiration to help you create a life that feels good to live right now in the middle of it all. Let's thrive together. Welcome to episode 5.2 of the Living to Thrive with Cancer podcast. Before we dive into this episode with a very special guest, I just want to remind you that if you're a new listener or if you're not a new listener, welcome to the podcast. It is great to have you here. As a cancer thriver, I use my stories and experience with stage 4 colon cancer to guide you through your walk with cancer. As a holistic cancer coach, I want to help you through creating a health-building lifestyle, managing your stress, and helping you to navigate the day in and day out stuff that comes up when you have cancer. In today's episode, as I said, we have a very special guest here. I am talking with Kenny Perkins. Kenny is the founder and host of All Talk Oncology, a podcast that empowers cancer patients through insightful conversations. As an eyewitness to the daily struggles and a listener to the ongoing concerns of patients and their caregivers, he was inspired to do more. Creating additional value for cancer fighters and their loved ones, he established a platform where firsthand knowledge about cancer could be discussed. As a coach, he takes an in-depth approach to listening with the intent of breaking down barriers and limiting beliefs. It has been an absolute honor for him to help thousands of cancer fighters get past this disease. He believes that every cancer fighter and their loved ones should be supported. No one should feel alone on this journey because we really are all in this together. So welcome, Kenny. I'm very, very excited to have you here today.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure and privilege to be on your platform. Thank you so much for allowing me to get on here and speak to your listeners.
I just think it's amazing, as I was going through your background, the things that you bring to the table and bring to the conversation. So what I want to share today and go through with you are things about your professional background in the medical world. And this, what really struck me was that you have this belief in the power of connection, which I think is so critical, and then how you support people. So I think we're in for a really great conversation.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started. So I would love for you to tell the listeners a little bit more about your work in radiation therapy and how that took you towards coaching and supporting people. As radiation comes up a lot in my conversations, and I didn't have radiation, so I thought, what a great opportunity to have someone who's familiar with it talk to the listeners about it.
For sure. Well, I am a board certified radiation therapist. I've been doing this for over 2 decades now. And, I landed in this field by accident. I tell people, I wanted to be an architect, growing up, and that's kind of what I was pursuing. And then there was like a change, right? I mean, there was a change in the economy, a change in what am I going to do next. And so I landed in radiation oncology by pushing a patient to their treatments. And it was the first time ever, right? I was wheeling patients back and forth to radiology because I was a radiology assistant. And so I was wheeling them back and forth. But then one day we took a patient to radiation therapy and radiation oncology. And I just started talking to, the therapist there, like, what is it you guys do? They start telling me about, how they see these patients, anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks at a time. And, you Monday through Friday. And I thought, man, that's kind of cool because it's completely different than x-ray. In radiology, what we do, we did you fell out of the tree? Did you break your arm? Yes or no? Right. I mean, we look at the film and then we never see you again. Right. But in radiation oncology and radiation therapy, you see them every day. So you get to know them, you get to understand them, about their families, what they like, dislike, and so it's a relationship. And to me, that was the appealing factor. And I was like, that was a no-brainer for me. A lot of people try to discourage me from that because they were saying that, it's a depressing field, or, you see people sick and things like that. And at that time I was like 19, right? So it was like, don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, here I am. Here I am. And you get to know people. You get to know them, and that was my favorite part. Yeah.
Mm. That's really beautiful because sometimes we view oncology as being impersonal. Like you go in, your number's called, you go in, you do your thing, you go out, you go home. And in my case, I did chemo every second week. So I had some rapport with my chemo nurses. I was in a very small space, so it was wonderful. There were only 8 beds where I was doing it, but it sometimes for people it feels like a big machine. So to have that perspective of being able to make connections with people and get to know them, I think is really beautiful. And I think may even demystify some of the process to have a friendly face meeting them and asking about how their kids are doing or how their week is going, things like that. Is that kind of what it feels like for you?
For me personally, yes. And not to discredit anyone, I mean, everyone is doing their job. And I think that's what happens. Like we put ourselves in a position of in these careers, and we do our job. And a lot of us do it well, right? I mean, you come in for chemo, the doctor sees you get the infusion and whatever you get, and then you come down for radiation oncology, right? We treat patients every 15 minutes, right? In radiation oncology. So that's 4 patients an hour. So you get 15 minutes with each patient. So it's okay. You know what you're here for. If it's breast, if it's prostate, and if it's lung, if it's brain, we get you in position, we get you taken care of. Hey, hey, and give you a treatment, and bye bye. Now that's if I'm just doing my job, right? I mean,
Mm,
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But for me, it's about, man, you putting yourself in that other person's shoes. It's that's what empathy is. It's like understanding what a person is going through by being in their shoes, and the fear, and understanding that and seeing that anxiety when people are
mhm.
coming in through those doors. And it's how do I ease that, right? So that's me as a person, right? That's me as a radiation therapist. It's just who I am. I'm doing my job, but it's just who I am. So I'm going to make sure you're okay. I'm going to talk to your family who may be apprehensive and wondering what's going on and scared. And I'm going to ease them. And maybe I need to bring them in and let them see the machine and get a feel for
Mm,
that. And, maybe, I need to talk to you. And maybe you just need a hug that day along
yeah.
with your treatment. Like it's that, right? It's me feeling out the individual. And think about it. I treat 30 to 40 patients a day. So that's how many people I'm seeing, right? So
Wow.
everyone else, every individual is an individual, and
Yeah.
everyone has their own needs, and everyone is going through their own thing and their own circumstance. And right, life is lifing. So
Yeah.
as a radiation therapist, that's who I am. And that was my approach. And that is my approach. And so, and then this thing, and then you just, right, you allow space.
Yes.
I allowed space for in those 15 minutes. But guess what? It's 15 minutes for 5 days a week. So you do the math. I'm giving you 15 minutes per day, and I'm learning more and more about 15 minutes. And I'm continuing a conversation that I had yesterday that was 15 minutes. Hey, so you didn't tell me about that, right? I mean, it's that. That's that's the joy. That's the connection. That's the thing that I
Mm.
love. That's why I'm here, right?
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It's like that is the art in the science.
Mm.
That's the human side of it. I love that so much. Your patients, I guess, is that what we call them? Your patients are just so fortunate to have that connection with you and that you take the time for that. So thank you on behalf of many of us who go through treatment. Thank you so much for being that person. It really, that smile or that touch or that moment of let's take a look at what's going to happen can make such a huge difference.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
so that is that like part of those struggles that you talk about that you saw with patients and caregivers and what sort of is taking you in this second piece of your world of cancer?
1000%. That's exactly it, right? You see that. You know, you there's two type of patients I say that come through, right? And it's it's the patients that have a certain type of mindset.
Mm.
And you see the patients that are like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to, I have this, but I'm here. Let's go. Let's get this, whatever it takes. And then you have the patient it's uncertain
Mm.
and is fearful, and it's just they're stuck. They can't move. And it's just a scary thing. And they're showing up, but it's hard every day. And you don't know what's going on personally in their life, but just being diagnosed is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So those people, those individuals have a tougher time. So how can I be the light in their darkness, right?
Mm.
And it's me just being there, allowing space, asking questions, sincere, right? Because people know when you're just not really
Yeah.
interested,
Yeah.
right? You're here for treatment. Oh, okay, let's go. They know when that you're just doing your job, and they know when a person is like taking an interest in them. And so, that is what has helped me to make me want to make this decision, because those people that are feeling uncertain, it's about how do you bring them through, right? How do you let them know? And it's just through my experience of the things that I've saw and the things that I share and helping them. This whole time I was doing cancer coaching, right? I mean, it didn't have a name to me,
Mm.
right? It
Yeah.
didn't it didn't
Yeah.
have an it didn't have a name at that point. But I was coaching every single day, right? But then cancer coaching came about, and I took this course, and it was amazing and understanding, and that just elevated my abilities of what I was already doing, right? And I thank God. I thank God, one, for allowing me to be in this space.
Mm.
Someone told me, and I'm humbled, really. Someone told me, man, Kenny, you are the perfect person for this space in this place. And I was like, man, what a compliment. And I never thought about it like that. But what I do know and what I do acknowledge is that I want to make sure that I support everyone that comes through the doors, right? And so, um, when you start talking to patients day after day, imagine for 30, 40 patients for the last 2 decades, how many patients have I saw,
Yeah.
right? And so when you start talking to them and you start to understand what's going on, see, they're going to the chemo. They're going to say whatever the doctor, whatever the plan is that their family and the physician has come up with. It's chemo, got it. It's surgery, done. Radiation, gonna get it, got it. Okay, everyone's doing their thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? What about the time when you're laying there and you can't sleep, or you're driving and you're thinking and you're wondering, hey, are these treatments going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to get through this? Is this cancer going to come back? Am
Mm-hmm.
I going to be able to see my kids or my husband or my wife, you know, graduate? Or are we going to be going on those other vacations? When those disquieting thoughts hit you and no one's there, right? It's just you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's me. Now it's me coming in to say, no, I know that feeling because I've talking to you. I've allowed space to know what's in your head, right? And so now let me help you through that, right? Because we're gonna do our thing medically,
Mm-hmm.
but let me help you and coach you through so you can get out of that, right? So
Yeah.
that's been my journey. That's been my journey.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to say that probably a lot. I love that so much. Like that I have so many thoughts that you are coaching people as they're going through the process in real time, and that you recognize as someone living in the medical world that I call them the sneaky thoughts that the patient has, all that list that you just read off of all the sneaky thoughts that come in that can really be crippling and can prevent someone from moving forward and asking for help or getting the support that they need, or even being willing to have a conversation with you when they walk into the radiation suite. Like there's just so many more layers to it that I think is why people like you and I exist, is so that we can support outside of the beautiful medical work that you're doing, that the people that need just that extra little bit or want a little bit more. So can you talk about your All Talk Oncology podcast and the other work that you're doing? Because your medical side is like just brilliant, but I want to know more about the other piece of Kenny.
Yeah. Well, All Talk Oncology came about um, in the pandemic, right?
Mm.
My first episode was April 2020, so it's interesting because prior to the launch of the podcast, I had this idea and I had shared it with a physician before. And I was like, it'd be kind of cool. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if, there's like this show and people could come and talk about cancer and, you can kind of go through this thing and help them. And, it's this discussion. It's an open, right? It'd be like kind of cool. And she was like, oh, so you're being like the Oprah of cancer. And I was like, right? It was kind of like this whole thing, but
Maybe.
really, I was like, yeah, kind of,
Yeah,
you know, and that's basically that has been my theme through. Is like I want to be the Oprah of cancer,
I love
right?
that.
I want to be that. I want to create the resources and the people the way they can go, the different podcasts that there's out there, the different treatment options that are out there, the different physicians, the different new technology, whatever that may be. Like that's who I am, right? And I was like, and so that's how All Talk Oncology was born, right? Through that idea, and I didn't know if that was going to be successful or not, or because it was just an idea. But
Hmm.
as I put it out there and start going through the process, we had some amazing people on the show. We had Alex Trebek. We had his wife on the show, Jean Trebek, and it was what it was like to be a caregiver, for Alex.
Hmm.
And we had Samantha Harris from Dancing on the Stars on the show, and E Entertainment, right, and how she went through her process. And we had Ananda Lewis. And so as this momentum began, I was like, okay, and what I'm doing is exactly it has function, and people see value. And so that's where All Talk Oncology came about. And then of course the coaching. And I think a lot of times what people may not understand or may overlook is that sometimes it's coaching through these interviews,
Hmm.
right? Because for me, I'm there with that individual and getting their insight on what they went through. And then I'm able to kind of coach a little bit and direct a little bit because as I allow the space, and it's a it's refreshing to some of the listeners, right? Because they can empathize with what the person is going through, but they also get the tools out of that. So that came about. That's how I'll Talk Oncology came about. And then I was like, man, I need to write a book, right? And so it was like the 5 stages of winning with the cancer diagnosis. You can find it on
Yeah.
Amazon, right? And it's like, how do you win? How do you win with a cancer diagnosis? We talk about that in the book, right? And to go through some of those stages. And then I was like, man, we need to create a program. When people get diagnosed, it can be overwhelming. How do we reach the people? So I created a program for them, um, so that they can walk them through. It's called, I have cancer. Am I going to die?
Oh,
Right? Because
wow.
that, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's like, oh my God, it's the C word, right? It's like cancer, and nothing positive in
Yeah.
our minds come out of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I named. That's what I named the. That's what I named the course, and that's going to be my next book. Really.
Amazing. And we're
Yeah.
going to link all of that in the show notes so that people can find you when they're done listening to this episode. Because I think there's just so much value in having a book because you get to really put those bigger thoughts that you have on paper
Yes.
and having all of the podcast guests. I was going through your podcast and looking at your guests, and I was like so happy when I saw Alex Trebek there. I was like, oh, a fellow Canadian. He was wearing his Order of Canada medal. And I saw you had Dr. Liz O'Riordan on also from the UK, and she's
Mhm.
actually going to be my next guest on the podcast. She's just an amazing woman. Like, you've had some really inspirational, amazing guests, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that those people and their stories really level the playing field when it comes to cancer. Like, it's not just, normal people walking around doing their just normal everyday jobs. It's people that have bigger profiles, bigger lives, but it doesn't make them any different. We're all just human at the end of it.
That's what I say. You know, Catherine, it's a great point you brought up, right? Because cancer doesn't discriminate, right? Black, white, rich, poor, it doesn't matter. Like it's out there, and it doesn't discriminate on who it gets.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I do that on purpose to let people know it doesn't matter who you are. This is affecting all of us. And so how do we do this? How do we do this together? How can I give them gems that you can utilize on your journey? And the beautiful part is, I mean, we're a global podcast. I mean, you look
Hmm.
at some of our guests and where we've been. We've been in South Africa. We've been to Greece. We've been in India, right? The UK and Canada, right? Australia. Like cancer doesn't discriminate. It's all over the world,
Yes.
right? And so we want to make sure we capture that. We want to make sure that let people know that, this is not just you, and sometimes it feels that way. You may feel like you're on this little island on your own,
Yeah.
but I want you to see that there's people all over the world is being affected. And if we can take gems from different continents that are going to benefit you, then man, let's do it. Let's make sure that you walk away with something, and so that we can get you through this dark period of your time and your life, so that you can get out and thrive, right? And
Yes.
so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's creating a community, even if people can't be in the same space physically or online, even. And some people don't want to. I know people who are just, they want to be on their own and do it, but to be able to have the gift of sitting in your own space or in your car or in a park or on a walk or whatever and hear your podcast and the people that you're bringing in reminding us that this really is a human experience. And I love what you said, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, where you're from. This is a disease that transcends many, many people's lives. And so the support needs to be there in the way that people are ready to receive it, whether that's a book or a podcast or a program. It's just really important work to connect.
100%.
Yeah. So, so, so good. So you said you're writing another book. That's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the plan for that?
You know, I'm taking that program and then just making it into a book. Really, I think that's the thought that a lot of people have when you get the diagnosis, right? And so I want to make sure I capture that. I want to make sure that we talk about how to have the right mindset, how to have the a right approach as we
Mhm.
go through these things. And a cancer diagnosis doesn't always mean a death sentence, right? That is a misconception,
Yes.
right? And a lot of times that's what we think because we don't know. And so when we educate and help them to appreciate that that's not the case, then we can empower that individual. The second part is that sometimes in this field, reoccurrence happens. And so, man, right, you've got all of this strength to get through this the first time, and you're like, oh, okay, we got through it. It was a breakthrough, and then, man, a reoccurrence happens, and it's like, okay, does this? How do you get the strength again?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, man, all the strength and all the air you had just went out,
Yeah.
and so we want to tackle that
Yeah.
because a reoccurrence doesn't necessarily mean a death sentence either.
No.
So so I, like I said, been doing this for over 2 decades, and I've seen some amazing people come in more than once and thrive. And
Hmm.
so we just want to make sure that we give you tools that you can have the right mindset so that you can get through all of that.
Yeah. I think it really, really is a lot of it is mindset. I think having a good team is important. Um, I think I am 10 years out from my original diagnosis, and on the 22nd of this month will be 2 years since my last surgery, my lung surgery. That was my sixth surgery. I've been told 5 times that I have cancer because I've just had recurrences that just little, little mets that have popped up in my lungs and in my abdomen that I've had to have dealt with. But the mindset around it and having tools really has made the difference, and having a great support team and knowing who I could reach out to when I learned that asking for help is a superpower, that you don't have to do it alone. But and truly, one of my missions is to bust that myth that you were talking about, that everybody dies. I had stage 4 colon cancer. I'm still here 10 years later. Not everybody dies. And I think the media, quite frankly, does a disservice of portraying people with cancer in a very poor light, and makes it out to be that everybody's story ends in a tragedy. But there's more and more people that are surviving because medicine is moving forward and there's new technology. And there's people like you and myself and a whole bunch of other people that are cheering people on from the sides. I think that's really, really important.
100%.
Look at us trying to help people. It's good because people often don't know how to ask for help or where to go to for help. So I think a podcast and a book are really accessible because they don't have to talk to other people. They can just, integrate the messages from your guests and your episodes, your solo episodes, and my stuff into their learning circle and take from it what's important to them and let go of what isn't important.
For sure. You know, you know, Catherine, a lot of times people don't know how to be there. Like you said, they don't know what to say. And that's okay. I want to tackle that right now. If you know someone with cancer and you don't know what to say or do, or, you don't want to say the wrong thing, that's understandable. But because you don't know, the worst thing you can do, and I want you to know this, is back away from that individual. That's the worst thing you
Yes.
can do because you don't
Yes.
know what to do. And I understand that. I want to tackle that because you don't know what to do and say, so I'm just going to like stay away. No, that's not what you need to do. This is what you need to do. One, just be there. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to say anything.
Mhm.
Just being there, allowing that space. What can you do for them? Is there something I can do for you? That's an easy question. Is there something I can do for you? Being there, allowing the space, and let me tell you, that individual will just love you because they don't know, sometimes their minds are going 100 miles a minute and sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah.
But just being there, is there anything I can do? It means everything. So I just want to give that tip to you.
Yeah. It's true. It's the most awkward part, I think, of a relationship with cancer is the not knowing what to say, not knowing how to show up, don't want to say the wrong thing, don't want to make the other person uncomfortable. And also it's uncomfortable for the friend or the loved one because it's just so uncertain. So thank you for addressing that. I think that's a really valuable lesson for everyone that's listening here. Because it's not always just people that have cancer that are here, it's the people that want to support them. And those people, the friends and the family, the caregivers, they need that support also. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, it is not a solo project, cancer. It takes a team and a whole bunch of wraparound. So yeah. Thank you. You've
Absolutely.
shared some really amazing insights, and I am looking forward to going back and re-listening to this episode because you've just said there's so many nuggets in here we could probably talk for hours about. And I would be remiss to not ask you my favorite question of a guest, and that is, what does living to thrive mean to you?
That is a beautiful question. Living to thrive, you need to be intentional, is one, right? have a sense of purpose. You know, as a young man, I always thought, man, why am I here? I mean, what is this life all about? You see, that's not necessarily a cancer question. It's a life question.
Mm.
But what happens when you deal with cancer is you get catapulted in the front of the line of dealing with life. You didn't ask to be catapulted, but that's what happened. And so now you're dealing with it. And so what is going to help you thrive? You need to be intentional about what you're doing.
Mm.
Do you know what you're doing? And if you don't, it's okay. Find out what you want to do. Find out what your purpose is and be intentional about it every single day and work towards that. Right? I mean, as human beings, like sometimes we're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
We get stuck in life and it's okay. It's okay to be stuck, but don't stay there. Find a solution. And so that's what I say. For me, thriving is being able to be intentional and living with the purpose. And sometimes we don't do that all the time, even though we know our purpose and know the things that we're supposed to do.
Mm.
But this is the reminder. And sometimes we need that to get back up and move intentionally and towards our purpose.
Beautiful. Living with intention. I love it. And purpose. Yes. I love that so much because it really drives home the message that this is not something someone has to go through alone, that they can find their purpose in life, in this cancer narrative, this cancer story. There can still be purpose and the intentionality of every action. We had, just as a sidebar, we had mandatory family fun days when our boys were teenagers when I was sick, because we set the intention of spending the time together as a family, of doing things together that were going to make memories, that we could laugh and celebrate. And so that, yeah, living to thrive, living with intention. What a beautiful message to share. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, your message today transcends a lot of pieces of the cancer narrative, I'm telling you, but it's been about like that power of support and the connections that you made with your patients, with you make with your patients, and the people that come to All Talk Oncology into your program, and how that supporting of people is just so important. And I know I shared at the beginning, like your talk about in your bio about not having to be alone on this journey, that people don't have to be alone. So thank you for being here today and for sharing this very small window of who you are and what you do. And I'm going to share all of your information in the show notes where people can find your podcast. And you have a Facebook community also where people can go, I believe.
Yes. Yes. You can just look me up, Kenny Perkins or All Talk Oncology, and you'll find our links through there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I know people will want to connect with you on that level. So thank you so much, Kenny, for being here, for taking the time out of your day to spend a little time talking about yourself and what you do. And just before you go, I'm just going to wrap things up here, just reminding people that if they found what they learned here today to be helpful, that they can go ahead and share this with other people. And that's what allows you and me to support more people who are living with cancer and help them to move from survivor to thriver. And you can, as Kenny said, go to Kenny Perkins, just give him a look up, or go to our show notes and find him and follow him where he is. And you can follow the Living to Thrive with Cancer podcast on your favorite channel and on YouTube. And Kenny, do you have an email list that people can subscribe to also if they want to stay connected with you?
Yes, you can go to info@alltalkoncology.com, or you can go to kenny@yourcancerguy.com.
Beautiful. It's always great to be on an email list for people who are sharing information and education. So for the listeners, you go and find Kenny on his email list, and you can get him in your email box, and he can continue to share his wisdom with you. So again, a big thank you, Kenny, for being here today, for taking the time, for sharing your insights and how you are supporting people living with cancer. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And may you live your life to your fullest, follow your heart, and thrive in all